And a quick reminder, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I am doing with my money inside of ULTY. Welcome back, Dividend Stackers. ULTY just paid 47 cents per share, and even though this portfolio has taken hits, we're actually up from last week and starting to claw some of that money back. In today's video, I'm breaking down my latest ULTY dividend payment, the real numbers in my portfolio, and why I'm still focused on income first, not panic selling the price moves. I'll also briefly touch on a new income portfolio plan I'm preparing that I'll likely start next week, but I'll save the full breakdown for a dedicated video. All right, so let's get to the numbers. ULTY closed at $37.58, up from last week, so that's a good thing. My shares cost basis now stands at $52.93, and my break-even price sits at $43.03. I now hold 309 shares. For the snapshot here, the market value now sits at $11,612.22, which is up from last week. My out-of-pocket invested, including dividends, now stands at $16,354.26, and my out-of-pocket, which does not include dividends, now stands at $13,296.52. With ULTY paying 47 cents this week, my lifetime dividends now sit at $3,057.74. So far this month, I've now collected $288.02. When you look at the weekly net dividends, they are definitely starting to stabilize, and we'll see if price does the same thing. Back over to the unrealized PML, I now sit at a negative $4,742.04, which is a negative 29%. My true gain, though, including dividends, now sits at $1,684.30, which is a negative 12.67%, which is up from last week. And I'll share the charts of what ULTY has done since the reverse split, which, if I remember correctly, is up about 4%, including the dividends. Going over to my transactions, you can see there that on 1/8, I did continue buying 4 shares with the drip. The drip was $143.50, and that cost me a total of $148.60. So I marked it there in red just to show that I spent a little bit more than the drip. No new added buys this week. That will come next week. For the dividends there, you can see on 1/8, I logged it, and I had 305 shares on record, paying about 47 cents, gave me a gross dividend $143.50. And yes, I did drip that back. My price on that drip was $37.15. So I'm actually up ahead on that one there. It looks like that hasn't happened in a while. Coming back to the taxes, I now project an after-tax dividends of $224.60 for the year of 2026. And my estimated additional tax due now sits at $63.36, according to what I project. Of course, that is accounting for the fact that ULTY paid the dividends out this week with 100% income, 0 ROC. So I'll continue to track that for my tax purposes. And now down to the margin. My equity sits at $7,494.90, so that's good to see there. As it claws back up, my margin use sits at $4,117.32. And according to Robinhood, my buffer is a 53.87%. So what you see on the screen here is ULTY's price, including dividends or adjusted for dividends, since the split on Monday, December 1st, 2025. And if you follow that cross, you can see there that ULTY is actually up with dividends, and that would explain why my portfolio is actually up about 4% since the split. Now, it has a lot of work to do still, but it's nice to see that it's actually up, especially when you compare it to other ones like WPay, which still sit at the bottom. Some of the other ones that came along to try to challenge ULTY here was the ULTY with the I, and you can see there that is slightly up from the split of ULTY. You can also see KYLD is slightly up as well, and blocks as well, which will be an option in my new portfolio that I'll be sharing later here today. For the year, ULTY looks like it's up so far according to the chart, and that is including dividends. That is adjusted for dividends, meaning that the dividends are we invested back in? Which is what I've been doing with my ULTY portfolio. So it's nice to see it on that aspect. This is coming straight from TradingView, adjusted for dividends. I will continue to track this and show you guys as that progresses throughout. And that is the update for the ULTY portfolio. And now let me share what the portfolio will look like here in a couple of weeks, starting next week, more than likely. But as I add more money, the plan is to invest my whole check into the portfolio. But I will be making some changes and more than likely using ULTY and its dividend to pay down some of that margin that I had there. So taking you back to TradingView here, you can see here that I have QQQI, SPYI, JEPQ, JEPQ, DIVO on the screen. And you can see what they did last year from 2025. Now this chart is adjusted for dividends. You can see the difference here. This will be the core of my portfolio. I've yet to determine exactly which one I will do, and I may do all of them in there. But you can see, obviously, past performance does not predict future performance, and you should not rely on that. But it was a pretty good indicator of what can actually happen. It may stabilize the portfolio a little bit. And on the next screen here, you can actually see what I am considering as well. MAGY, YMAG, TSPY, TDAQ, and NIHI. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm a roll with that. Well, I know that is if I'm not mistaken, tracks stocks in other countries, which would obviously be developing countries or markets, if that would make sense. So I'll spend some time there. I am definitely excited to share that with you guys. De-risk a little bit out of ULTY, add some money to there, and try to grow the dividend portfolio here. There'll be some changes. You'll probably see in the name of the channel has changed a little bit, and I'll be moving more to that. I'll be sharing more of that with you guys. I'm really excited to do that. But it's still the journey that I'm taking. So none of this is financial advice. Just want to make sure that you guys are aware of what's happening in this portfolio as I share that with you throughout the year. I'm not dropping ULTY though. The ULTY portfolio experience still stands, and I will continue to ride this the whole time. I may have other updates, sharing ULTY on some days and the actual overall portfolio on other days. But let me know, what should I pick? Are these some good options? I may throw a stable growth stock in there. Still debating whether that's going to be Costco, which I think is what I'm going to roll with, but really excited to see what happens in 2026 here. So you can see ULTY sitting at around $37.50 right now. But this is where a lot of people stop looking, and that's where income investors make a mistake, because while price is down, the position keeps paying week after week. ULTY just paid another 47 cents per share, and that cash is real. It either gets reinvested or put to work somewhere else. You'll also notice something important. The portfolio is up from last week, not magically fixed, but improving. That's how recovery actually looks like in income strategies. I'm not here to tell you it's risk-free. It's not. Option income ETFs are volatile. Distributions can change and drawdowns happen. That's exactly why I'm planning a new diversified income portfolio starting next week, adding funds like QQQI, SPYI, JEPQ, GPIQ, DIVO, and possibly MAGY or YMAG, along with TSPY, TDAQ, and NIHI. ULTY isn't going anywhere, but balance matters. I'll break that entire plan down in a separate video, step by step, with real allocations and real numbers, just like this. If you appreciate this level of transparency, hit that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Oh, and just a reminder, none of this is financial advice. This is just what I am doing with my money inside of ULTY. ULTY YOLO out.